What's going on? What's going on, family? What's up? What's up? What's up? Okay, I'm waiting for everybody to get in here. I had to fix my seat. Wait a minute. Hold on. I'm too high up. You know I'm low to the ground anyway. So, all right. I got this sweater on, and it is really not that cool in my place. So, all right. Let's see. Who do we have in the house? Let's see. Let me wait for everybody to get in here. Let me give everybody a chance. Something's going on with my notifications. So, family, if you happen to see this video, make sure that you are getting the notifications. Go to your notification for me. Check to see if that little bell for notification is highlighted. And if not, I want everybody to kind of, sometimes you can come out and resubscribe, or not unsubscribe. Don't unsubscribe, but click on the don't notificate and then get notify. Oh, I couldn't get it out. And then retry to get the notifications, like re-click the notification button again. That sometimes fixes the issue. So hit 1 if you're receiving the notification, hit 2 if you're not. If you watch this video later, leave a message in my comment section by saying, hey, E, I'm not getting the notification, or yes, I'm getting the notification, just to kind of make sure I'm good. I want to make sure everybody's getting notified of when I'm going live. Because one thing I will say with YouTube, if you go a long time without doing a video, it does something screwy with the notification button. I've noticed that. I did that once where I went 3 months without doing any lives. And then when I got online and started back doing lives, people were saying, I'm not getting a notification. That was in my early days when I first started about a year and a half ago. And people were saying they wasn't getting the notification. So hit 1 if you're not getting the notification. If you see this video later, just put in the comment section, hey, E, I'm not getting the notification. And I'll kind of explain what you may need to do. But just make sure your notification button is set. But again, they do something weird when you go a long period of time without doing videos. And I've gone like a whole month. I think it's been about a month or so where I haven't been consistently been doing videos. So let me bring everybody in. So y'all, today, before I bring everybody in, we got to deal with what's going on right now. We have a situation within the melanated family, and that's how I'm going to say it. My melanated family, that it's a little division going on. And what's going on is the actor. Well, I'm gonna play the video for you, and as I play the video, let me bring everybody in and I'll play the video. Hold on, who do we have? What's going on, Pastor Kelly?
Hey, how's it going, sis? Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. All right, who else do I have in the house? What's going on, Arrow Spike?
Shalom. How's everybody doing tonight?
Everybody's good. I think it's like a bunch of videos going on all at one time, but that's fine. We can still carry on. Just if whoever haven't got to the beginning, like I said, go back to the beginning of the video and check out what I said about notifications. Because like I said, I know a couple of people are complaining that they're not getting any type of notification. So, but you know what, family? I'm going to start here. I'm going to play this little video for y'all, and then we can start talking. Let me go to my little library, get my little video. Where is it? Oh, here we go. Hold on. Make sure you can't nobody hear it just yet. All right. Hold on. All right. Here we go. I got it bookmarked. All right. So family, we're gonna delve into this, but I'm gonna play the video first, and then we can all start talking. Let's see. Share. Let's see. I'm gonna share this video. All right, family. Tell me if y'all can hear it. I'm gonna hit play.
Michael B. Jordan says he will change the name of his rum brand after sparking online criticism of cultural appropriation. Following the launch of the brand earlier this month, Jordan is responding to social media calls to change the name from Juve. which is the name of an annual celebration originating in Trinidad and Tobago. It celebrates emancipation from slavery and the start of Carnival. The actor and producer posted an apology on his Instagram story, writing, "I just want to say on behalf of myself and my partners, our intention was never to offend or hurt a culture we love and respect, and hope to celebrate and shine a positive light on. Last few days has been a lot of listening, a lot of learning and engaging in countless community conversations. We hear you, I hear you, and want to be clear that we are in the process of renaming. We sincerely apologize and look forward to introducing a brand we can all be proud of." When reached for further comment, Jordan's reps directed The Hollywood Reporter to his Instagram post. An online petition with over 12,000 signatures was launched in response to the brand's use of the term. Some social media users from the Caribbean community and diaspora pointed out the lack of connection between its public-facing figures and Caribbean culture, raising questions about Jordan's use of the term and whether it was culturally appropriative. At one point, Nicki Minaj, who's Trinidadian, weighed in on Instagram, writing, "I'm sure Michael B. Jordan didn't intentionally do anything he thought Caribbean people would find offensive. But now that you are aware, change the name and continue to flourish and prosper." For more on this story, go to thr.com. For the Hollywood Reporter News, I'm Tiffany Taylor.
All right, y'all. Let's start here. Y'all, what people don't realize is we are all the same people across the board. My screen is too bright because I look angelic right now. I'm just joking. We're all the same people. We're all the same people. We all was on the same boats. Do I have an echo?
No.
You sound
Okay.
fine on my end.
Okay, so we all were on the same boats, but we had different drop-offs. That's what's confusing to me. Like, we are a lot of the cultures, when you look at Caribbean culture, you look at Haitian culture, Dominican culture, African American culture, all these cultures derive from where? Africa. It's augmented here and there's a few little things that may not be similar, but ultimately we all carry that same culture that we derive from West Africa, well, really up in East Africa and even up into Israel, the things that we have in the Arab nations that we had way before we came over here. And what happened was we all got divided, scattered, like in the word of God said, we'll be scattered to the four corners of the earth. And guess what? We took our cultures with us. So we all have the same culture. And the interesting thing is, when I did my DNA, and me and Pastor Kelly had a long talk about this. When I did my DNA with 23andMe, it showed that I had a concentration or a cluster. They don't have it anymore, but when I first did 23andMe, it gave you a cluster where your DNA is more prevalent. And one of the locations that it was very prevalent was in Jamaica. So a lot of the people that carry similar genetic structures that I have, or autosome, well, they don't do autosome, they do just Heplo. I think Heplo group with 23andMe, but we all have a genetic tie to them. And I said that's interesting because it was Jamaica, and Pastor Kelly, it was Barbados as well. We all have the same culture. When you look at our DNA, they're going to see the same thing. So now all of a sudden, I'm noticing with multiple groups outside, because some reason everybody hates the Americans, us being Afro-Americans, or I don't want to say Afro-Americans because I don't want the Negro in this land. They hate us for some strange reason. So I'm going to let the panel talk, but that's just interesting to see that we're so divided and it's so divisive, the things that we're seeing, that now we're saying, you're doing cultural appropriation when you're dealing with Caribbean culture. Yes, I understand that was their freedom. It was their emancipation. Was it how do you pronounce it?
Duvet.
Duvet. J Duvet. That's their emancipation. I respect that. But yet and still, we're still the same. We were all in captivity. So I'm gonna leave the panel open for anything that anybody want to say. We can't hear you, Pastor Kelly.
Yeah, you're muted.
Okay, just wanted to say peace and blessings to everyone. Thought I saw Jay Highstyle, son of Yah, some of the guys that's in the panel. Sister Ashley, geeks in the building. When you look at this whole story, like the article, the news clip that you played, it's as you pointed out, it's a reflection of just how divided we are. I grew up in Newark, New Jersey. I grew up in the projects, and uh, also lived over in New York, and but you see a lot of segregation even among our people. You had certain areas, even within the buildings that we lived in. You had Jamaicans living in one spot, Haitians living in another spot, and we all kind of behaved as if we were separate people. They would have carnival, and I've actually had, insults thrown my way. Going out there to see what carnival was all about, and being that, I never knew anything about carnival, and of course, my family never made any reference to the connection to any of the Caribbean islands per se. But I had to deal with a lot, especially growing up in the city. You see so many different groups, and so it was interesting to come across the story about what you just laid out about just how divided and how a warped understanding of our history that we have. It's a pet peeve of mine. For example, if I hear someone say, "Oh, well, we Gullah Geechee," as if we're different people. We are the same people, as you pointed out. Our ancestors came off those same ships.
Correct.
We do our DNA test; they do their DNA test. It's going to be pretty much the same. And when we refer to something like Gullah Geechee, we refer to it as if it's another group of people, when simply put, it's our ancestors that got that label because they rebelled, against the oppressors, so, and also their children was named that as well. So we're all connected. We're all the same people. And for him to get ridiculed, kind of like the same thing we've been talking about over and over. Why does it have to be a public spectacle? And even when they said cultural appropriation, we're the same people.
Right.
He got treated as if he's an outside looking in to his own community.
Correct.
And just how they were, Nicki Minaj comments as if, like he was someone that's in a separate group, as if we're the Negroes here in the Americas, as if we're just like this lost group of people that has no understanding of who we are, have no understanding. It's like we're like an isolated group of people. So I just thought, just thought I'd comment on, just kind of chime in on what you just laid out, and just kind of show how we had to, what I had to deal with growing up in the city. And literally, you'd be surprised some of the things that I've had to hear, from our brothers and sisters, whether they're from different groups, as far as whether it's Barbados, and that's where my, like you laid out with the DNA, Barbados, Jamaica, Haiti, and even some, like I said, how it's just some of the ridicule, even from internally, even from some of the brothers and sisters that's living in certain areas that was from Nigeria and Ghana. Some of the things that they would say, hey, not to tell their daughters, and I'm not saying all, but many of them would tell their daughters or tell their sons not to, bring one of us home to their house. And some of the stereotypes, some of the labels they have for us in this country.
Correct. And what's interesting is us as a country, as a people here in this land, and I say this, and I hope people don't take this wrong, but every single benefit that our brothers and sisters in other areas, like in the Caribbean and Haiti and even in Africa, them being able to have the opportunity for the education, the access that they have now here in the States is because of our ancestors here in America fighting for equality. Even though we truly got an illusion of it, we still receive some level of benefit. I hate to say the indigenous people that live in Africa now, they will pack out the HBCUs. And guess what? Our ancestors had to get schools in place because we wasn't allowed to go to the white schools. So a lot of these historical Black colleges, our people, our family members, our ancestors had to fight for. The access to the things that they got. Not to say that they giving us, we got a lot, but we do have more access than most. And a lot of cases, they've received that access because of us. Nicki Minaj and the rest of them have access to the music industry and the wealth because our ancestors had to fight for it. When you look at the story of Billie Holiday, when you look at the stories of Josephine Baker and the Charlie Parkers and all these individuals, they were American people that were here in this land. Far as African Americans, what we consider to be African Americans, and people, please don't take it wrong. That's the only term I can use right now. But it was the blood and the sweat and tears of our ancestors in this land that have afforded the opportunity for others from across the borders, our people, to come over here and get access. So they get mad and they talk about us being culturally appropriating their culture. Actually, you're appropriating ours if you want to look at it from that standpoint. But I'm not like that. Because again, you got access to all these things because our ancestors were in the middle of the street protesting the civil, and people don't believe that the civil rights movement is real, but it did allow us to have a little bit more access. Now, do I believe that segregation could have been, I think we could have did it better. Do I believe integration hurt our people in the long run? Yes. But yet it's still, while we're still fighting, because technically we're fighting, people across the waters are getting more benefits than our ancestors did, than we did. So sometimes I feel some kind of way when people say stuff like y'all lazy. How are we lazy here when we had nothing and we worked and we were able to get what we have now, and y'all are benefiting from it? None of y'all, some of them, their family members didn't stand in the middle of the street and wasn't attacked by the dogs. I have family members that dealt in those protests. That's why I know some of this is real. You didn't see the stuff that happened when we talk about the Black massacres. Why did the Black massacres happen? Because our people were fighting to have our own. So they are benefiting from it. But then when we say, okay, we want to celebrate you all, they want to say it's cultural appropriation. That's the beef that I have right now.
Right. I mean, like I said, I've heard those same things. Like I said, I had friends from from Ghana, from Nigeria, and and we've talked. And I've talked to people, brothers and sisters from Benin, and it was a lot of that same mentality. Said what Nicki Minaj show is what they would tell me. It's like because over there we're called Akata. We're like Black Americans are Akata. That we're wild, we're uncouth, uncultured, and basically what Nicki Minaj did is reflecting that exact same thing.
Correct.
Again, and I had to admit when I look at her, it's like, so Nicki, you says cultural appropriation. Was your hair always long and naturally pink?
Man,
That's because as far as I know, when I look at African people and people in Trinidad and the Caribbean, they don't have long pink hair. So what culture are you appropriating?
man,
If you're gonna go down that road.
you know what? I'm a little fed up hearing
And
this.
Sister, I shared a link to with you too, a screen share. I'm sorry, I'll just letting you know. Go ahead, finish your point, sis. I don't
No,
want
I'm
to
just
cut you
saying,
off.
I get a little frustrated by that because, again, you're literally spitting in the face of our ancestors that fought for you all to have this access. Because ask yourself this: through all these series of events that happened from the point of where we were so-called freed as slaves to now, if we didn't go through all that, do you think they could come over here and get access the way that they've gotten? No. The benefits were because of, and I get sick of this. Give us our props. Our ancestors laid their lives on the line constantly for the rights. And we never said it's just American rights. That's what's so crazy. We never said just African Americans. We said our people. We want our people to have access. We never said Africans, you can't come over here and benefit. Caribbeans, no, definitely you can't come over here. Haitians, no, you can't come over here. We said welcome. Because we laid the soil, we fought for everything, and it may not be much to some of us, but it's something. at the end of the day, we have something that we worked for. And every nation that looks like us, but deny us as being a part of them, are benefiting from it. And that's my beef right now.
Absolutely. And what you see on your screen here, this, remember I shared with you one of the many DNA tests that I've done. And this is one that's no longer uh, available now. It was bought out and shut down. But this is from DNA Tribes. But notice what it says here with the different groups in terms of the scattering. You know, you see Haiti, Barbados, Jamaica, and see with the Carr family name, our name was given to our family in Barbados. And what's interesting about even knowing that history, it was a Catholic priest, older guy, that told uh, me and my cousin about this, right? About the origins of our family name. And really, that's what really made me start thinking differently, as what he, in terms of what he pointed out, that we need to start talking more about getting access to the actual documents of that document where we are. And that's what he shared, that every last one of our ancestors, they have a journal, they have a I can't think of the other term, but that they use for it. I can't think of the term right now, manifest or whatever, of our ancestors where we would just disperse to. But nevertheless, but notice what you see here again. You see Haiti, Barbados, Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
You know, now with that, just that right there, does that not make, if we want to go with the term that many run with, Caribbean, doesn't that still make me connected there?
Correct.
And if all of us do our DNAs, we'll all see that we'll have these same things in common. Because again, Barbados was a major area hub that, of course, the Jewish community, pretty much that's where they were, far as having a major influence over. And, many of our ancestors were sent there and processed and then sent to other areas. So Barbados, that's the origins of the Black codes, started in Barbados. So we all, at one point or another, we're at one of these islands. And you'll see this on your DNA, but we're the same people.
Correct.
And that's where I have a problem when I saw the thing about Michael B. Jordan. It's like he's being treated as if he's not part of. We're not the same people.
Correct. If you put Nicki Minaj, and I'm just using this as an example, if you told me to be quiet and Nicki Minaj to be quiet, and you did not know that she was Nicki Minaj, me and her would look no different.
Well, she and one thing people don't know, she did bleach her skin. If you look at her older pictures before she got got big, her skin was much darker than what it is.
Yeah,
so
yep.
We would look all look the same. And as Aerospike pointed out, where did the color of the hair come from? Where all of the other stuff come from?
Correct.
But that's what really, again, as we're discussing this is where it really concerns me. When I saw that, it's like, wait a minute, he's being treated like, hey, this is our stuff over here, and you need, you over there, and you're taking something that's ours. And then when you really understand where the origins of it, it's because the Caucasians, the slave masters, will have a special festival to mock the slaves. They'll dress up in blackface basically and mock the slaves. And so when it's of course with the ban of slavery, our ancestors there decided to have a festival and reverse it and mock the slave owners.
Correct.
It's just shows just this issue echoes no matter where we go, whether it's with Michael B. Jordan, whether it's the stuff that we're dealing with the church, even internal stuff that we're dealing with as a people. So many different things that we're dealing with, but it still points out to the same thing. We are so divided and we're so separated and don't realize we are the same people. Like I said, I get you know it says I get burnt. It burns me up when I hear, "Oh, we the Gullah people. We built." Wait a minute, we're the same people. What are you talking about?
That is
You know,
so
my grandmother. You know, she never claimed the term Gullah. None of my relatives down in that area claimed that term because they're like, hey, they didn't want those labels because of just what they meant at that time. They didn't want to be called black. They didn't want to be called Negroes because of what we shared a while back about here in this country, Negroes being interchangeable with slave, black being interchangeable with slave, and so forth. But we're the same people.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Well, you got something, Aerospike?
No, like I said, I was just thinking about actually a person who was a family member who was from not Belize. I can't remember the country, but basically, she spoke Portuguese. You know, just looked just like us, but she had an attitude of, "Oh, I'm not one of you people." But yes, she was married to somebody who was in the family, but she had that attitude, and it was like, "Wait, sis, how in the world you gonna do is say you want to prove that you one of us? Let's all drive up to Montana together, and let's see what happens."
But you know what? This was crazy. I tell people this. I said it's out of all of the black melanated family, I think our community is one of the most hated. Like our own people, like I hate to say we're almost at the bottom far as them hating us. Like if you hear African American, the first thing you think of is lazy. Explain to me how we're lazy in a country that you live in now. Our ancestors built it.
Right? Thank you.
Let's be real with it. You call us lazy, but you're able to have a country to go through to like this because of our ancestors' blood, sweat, and tears in the soil built this country. Now,
Hmm.
am I in agreement with this country? Do I believe that y'all's gonna do some work on this country, destroy? Yes, but yet and still, we were known as nation builders. Every single great nation, our ancestors had a hand in, from the Egyptian captivity all the way down to here. Because what's the scripture where it says a Hebrew born to be a slave? It's like
Well, yeah, that's where Jeremiah was questioning, like, hey, Jeremiah chapter 2, when he was like, is that all we designed to be? I mean, man, yeah, every time you turn around, we're being enslaved.
and
So yeah,
every great to this last nation that we know of before Christ builds his kingdom. We built this. Our ancestors. When I saw this documentary about it was dealing with, and I talked about it before on Prime, and it talked about 1619 in Virginia. And was early like the 1600s when the colonizers came over here and they couldn't cultivate the soil. They were dying off from diseases. They were having all types of issues. They couldn't get it together. I mean, one while right before, I think it was in Jamestown, they had a famine. This is when they were eating people, dogs, drinking bad water because the leaders had went back to Britain to go pick up to go meet with I guess the royalty, and we're talking about early 1600s.
Hmm.
And they were waiting for a ship to come here to bring food and cargo to the people that were over here in this soil. And ultimately, something happened one way or another, where it was a storm or something, and it took them longer to get here, where they wasn't able to eat, they wasn't able to take care of themselves. People were dying off. They were in cannibalism. It got down to the point that they was boiling their belts and eating them. And we're talking about the colonizers. They
Right.
couldn't get the land to produce the way they wanted to produce to be able to get what they needed. Guess what they had to do? They had to go and get our people to come here and cultivate the land and build this nation so that they can live a life. Now, with that being said, how are we lazy? Explain to me how we lazy.
even from being in the military, some places that I've traveled to, even over in Africa, uh, even some of the things in conversation of the stuff that was said to me, of the term mulatto, and even though some of them dark is just as many over there, but the term mulatto, and having it explained to me over there, that the way that we are looked at, and I'm not saying all, but many look at us as being lazy, look
Mhm.
at us as being, like, hey, they don't want their children interacting with us. I mean, I've even experienced that even when I was in Iraq. Bahrain, Dahran, hearing the same thing of like when they hear me speak or engage in conversation, it's like they look at me in shock, like wait a minute, you're educated. Well, how did you end up being in that portion of the military? How did you, I mean, really a shock, so to speak, based upon stereotypes. And believe it or not, some countries, especially at least when I was still over there, I mean, when I went to certain areas, they were playing shows from the 40s and 50s. And you're talking back in like the 90s and the turn of the 2000, going into the millennium, they were still showing shows
Yeah.
of the 50s, the stereotypes of us here in this country.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I got something in my tooth, but I just don't know. I don't understand. How are we? You say African American tech. I noticed that a company I worked for a couple of years back, this guy, he was Caribbean. I'm gonna go even further back. When I worked for another major company, and I'm gonna
You
keep
talking
it.
about when Central Park was a plant that far back?
Hold on one second. Don't play with me. Um, we talking about back in 2009 when I worked for this major corporation, which I will not say their name. I was in a meeting and I walked in, and at that time I used to wear brown. I used to wear braids, and I had brown braids that day, and you really couldn't tell what it was pretty. But when I walked in, didn't say a word, and I sat down, and a guy looked at me. He said, "Are you Panamanian?" And I looked at him and I said, "No." He said, "Oh wow." And just looking at me, he thought I was from Panama. And I had like two people ask me that. Why? Not because I look any special. It's because we're all the same people. If we don't say nothing, you're not going to know where we're from.
And that's interesting, right? Because that happened to me a lot back home, but I didn't know anything about this portion of my
Yeah.
heritage, because they were asked, hey, what and I would get asked a lot, are you from Barbados? That was the
Yep.
number one thing that I would get asked a lot, because of, and I still have like a slight accent if you really hear me talk, and of course they'll start looking at your cheekbones and all those different things, and they would tell me like, hey, you know, you have to be Barbados, they could look at you and tell, what tribes and all that, but yeah, I would hear that a lot from there. Also, my grandfather on my that my grandmother through my grandmother on my mother's side, he was Cuban, right? But he was from,
Yep.
through slavery, he was in Cuba, So but unfortunately, these are the things we don't know. And like you pointed out, we still deal with the same issue, no matter what community it is, whether it's, as you just see in the entertainment industry, Michael B. Jordan is not a D or C or B listed
He's an
actor.
A.
He is an A-listed actor, and look at how he got treated by his own people
Correct.
as if he's not even connected to
Correct.
the community, and now he has to apologize as if he's someone like, let's just say, what's that lady that that went to Howard University, the Caucasian lady.
Oh yeah. What else? I can't remember her name.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he had,
Hmm.
basically treating him like he's not part of the community. Like he, the overtones are like he's ignorant, he don't know. Well, hopefully, this has set him straight. Just kind of the thing that she said. It just rubbed me a certain way.
You know what? One of my favorite artists is Cecilia. Well, my daughter likes her, Cecilia Cruz, and she's a Cuban jazz singer. She's dead now. When you look at her, she looks just like us. Like we don't look any different. When you look at Michael B. Jordan and you look at Nicki Minaj, don't look any different. Looks the same, far as features, even going into the complexion. Even though she has bleached her skin, it's not like there's a complete difference in how we look. Again, it goes back into the saying, and I had this meme that I put up a couple of years back, about 6 years back. We are the same people. Our drop off was different. We were
Yeah.
all on the same boats, but my destination happened to be in the US, where others had to go to Barbados, had to go to the Caribbean area, Haiti. Everybody had different drop-offs, but we were the same people. And
Yeah,
now we've
and
allowed a nation to divide us to think we're different. No different than Africa. Africa is divided
yeah,
because colonizers said we, in order to win, we're going to have to divide them, and they did just that.
and they created a lot of the names that are being used. You
Yep.
know, like even with what I mentioned about a lot of the so-called Indian names, Native American names,
Mm-hmm.
many don't understand. A lot of them were created by the Caucasians. You know, what's the one at Cherokee? That's not the original name,
Yep.
but so many are claiming what Cherokee as part of their lineage and don't realize that those were things that was made up, created, especially during the what is called the Gullah Wars. They began to create these different names to bring division, even among the Native Americans.
Hmm.
Yeah. You got some aerospike? Because we can go on. Me and Pastor Kelly can go about
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
No, I'm no, I
You can
know.
talk
No,
about this, but Pastor, huh?
I'm happy to. No, I'm just happy to say I'm learning. So we got two ears, one mouth. So that's why I'm listening and learning.
But yeah, that's kind of that makes me. I had this Liberian guy I met. He said the problem with y'all African Americans, y'all lazy. As you go and have the freedom and access to everything, how are we lazy? And he's like, "What do you mean?" So we're not lazy. We got access, and me and him kind of got into it. But I don't see my people as being lazy. We're tired, in some cases, but lazy we're not. Yes, we have issues. Every diaspora has an issue here and there, somewhere in the midst of their communities, their problem children, ultimately. But when you look at us as a whole in this continent, our ancestors, I'm very proud of what my ancestors did. They were able to persevere and build their own without the permission of anybody. Now are we getting to a place where we need permission? Yeah, but at the beginning, when they kicked them off, when I was reading those slave narratives with Black Tastic, our people were released from slavery with nothing.
That's right.
Nothing.
Didn't know where to go.
Thank you.
Didn't have no. Can you imagine? That's all you know, and that's how they were taken advantage of.
Hmm.
Because it's like you're being told now you're free, but where do you go at?
Yep.
It's not like how others were given monies and all those different things. We were just let go, and many of our ancestors ended up in concentration camps here in the United States. Multiple concentration camps, that the Confederate had put together and had over 120,000 of our people inside these concentration camps, during that time.
Yep. Yep. But we walked out with nothing but the clothes on our backs and our families and our children. And you know what we did? We used the skills that we had to build places like Rosewood, Tulsa, all these different Memphis.
Elaine County, you can go
Yes.
right down the list.
When you look at this black, and I do want us to do the black massacres, I'm not walking away from that. But when you look at those towns, it happened right after the Civil War. And you had pop-up of these black nations just popping up all over the place. They was just, thriving. They had skill sets, they had the drive, and they was, to the point they were literally mini Wall Streets all over the place. And they had to do something. They said, these people are going to be above us. We got to kill them at the top, off the top. Because if not, they gonna rise above us fast. And they had to kill it right there. You can't tell me we wasn't nation builders.
Hmm.
You can't tell me we lazy. They have to put weights on us to keep us from doing better than them. Because they know if they release the weights one time to say, you know what, we're gonna give y'all a chance. Man, we're
Now,
gonna
what if they
run it. Mhm.
what if they truly all these patents, what if they really truly put the patents in our names properly, giving us the true credit off of those things?
Every
You
soda
know,
company
I got
in the world will
a
own
trivia
our
of
own.
all the, as far as our ancestors, black inventions and all of that.
Right.
You know, we created the bus. We created the automobile. We created the street lights.
Yep.
We create the machine that puts the sole on your shoes. We even created hair clippers. We were the ones that came up with hair growth, for your scalp and all. We created so many different things that we didn't get credit for, even when we start dealing with the light bulb. You know, all these patents, we couldn't put patents out there because we were considered property. And also it was against the law at certain times for us to even file patents. We had to have someone to co-sign or put their signature on a lot of the documentation.
I'm laughing at somebody. Somebody just sent me a message, Blacktastic. I'm gonna block you. No, I'm just joking. But what's so funny is I was talking about how my family member, my mom, my dad found a patent that my great uncle created, and they found out it was the soda dispensing machine that drops the cup down and the soda goes in, and then the people can drink from it. And when he found the patent, found out that he possibly, we don't 100% know, could be the owner of that patent that we use now. This is
And
this
guess
is the
what?
stuff
My
we do.
great grandfather started what is called the recycling companies. He
Yes.
did that down in Albany, Georgia. He owned tons of acreage, and he never worked for anyone, but he had his own recycling company back in the early 19th century. I mean, not 19th century, early 20th century. You know, things that we just have no clue about. Sad thing about it is my uncles and them, they didn't do right by the property and all those things. But like you said, you know, the patents, who knows what's in his name, or the things that would not necessarily what's in his name, but what was taken from him, just like your relative that possibly created that patent for that machine. Man, he could be uh billions multiple times over because of that invention, because that's everywhere, you know.
I mean, hey, Jay, I meant to say hop. I said hope on. Jay, I dropped the link in here. Jay Hairstyle, you're welcome to come up. And
Arrow
anybody,
Spike, anything you want to share? I know we Sister E can go.
Yeah.
don't do me like that. I just said, Jay, you
I'm
can hop
just
up
I'm
here.
just I'm just picking
And
with him.
anyone
I had
else
to put
that
it all on you.
whatever. Anyone else that would like to hop on there, welcome. But I was gonna pull Jay Hairstyle up because he made a point. I wanted him to come up and speak on. So, but come on.
But yeah, I was gonna say, just saying, no, I'm just, I say again, seeing the colorism,
Yeah.
among our people. My great auntie, she was, pretty much light skinned, a brown skin. She never wanted a black doctor to touch her ever, because that self-hatred was drilled in them so deeply. Anything that was quote unquote black was bad. So she always just wanted a white doctor, a white this. This how she grew up, and she was born in the late 1890s. She died in 2000. So again, she lived a long time throughout the entire 20th century, and she saw those things. Especially living down south, that got so deeply ingrained. And like I said, going back to what Nicki Minaj said, I think that's a problem with a lot of us. It's that cognitive dissonance. It's like, I'm not black, even though you are black as can be. Say I'm Ghanaian. I'm not one of those people talking about African. Us black people. Um, but say it's a cognitive dissonance. They don't say, literally don't. A lot of them really don't get it until something happens where those people whom they want to, as somebody said, plug into that particular culture. When that culture basically slaps them upside the head and says, "Go back and put your chains on, boy. You ain't one of us." That's sometimes when that shakes a lot of them out of that mindset. But until then, they're like, nope, I just work. I just continue to work hard. I don't have to think about that. As long as I keep my nose down and they leave me alone, I'm good, and I'll do whatever they tell me.
And that's just so interesting. We did everything possible to survive, and we are still thriving. We have issues, but yet and still, we're still. I mean, we should be, especially over here, we should be dead as a nation.
Yeah.
Period. Again, let's go back and revisit. This country gave us nothing. When our ancestors walked off those plantations, they didn't have restitution. I don't know if the world knows that, but our ancestors didn't have restitution.
Nope.
In most cases, the slave masters got in the field and said, "Y'all free. Now get out."
Yep.
And guess what
Yeah.
they did? They packed their stuff with nothing because they was happy just to be free. And
Right.
guess what
Yeah.
happened? They grew and they developed as a people. Hold on.
Well,
Right.
even to Aerospike's point that he made, that he pointed out with, as he pointed out and highlighted cognitive dissonance, and in a nutshell, what it means is contradictory behavior. And then when you tie that into Stockholm syndrome,
Mm-hmm.
and also multiply it by herd behavior, we'll see what we're dealing with as a people. Because I'm pretty sure Nicki Minaj, or however you pronounce the name, I'm sure she had something to say about the George Floyd situation. And I'm sure no one said to her, well, hey, you're from the Caribbean. You know what I mean? You're from Trinidad. So you don't have no right to say anything about this situation over here. We can't be selective with what we want to make into an issue. We're all the same people. And we all should be upset if something happened here in this country, or if something happened over in one of the islands, or over in Africa, no matter what. But we still should feel the same way. We are the same people. And we should behave and come together as being a unified people. But unfortunately, we still see the same behaviors right across the board. I mean, whether it's in the music industry, whether it's in the religious sector, whether it's in corporate America, because I'm gonna tell you, and you can relate to this, you guys here, some of the worst people I had to deal with was our own people.
Yep.
The worst people, and the worst. If I knew I was getting interviewed by a brother man, I knew I didn't get the job. 9 times out of 10, because of the attitudes that we have towards each other. I
Yep.
knew right off the back that is,
Mm.
I've even had to correct, you know what I mean, because of the disrespect and the tone of how I was being talked to. So the self hatred is real, and we need to have these type of discussions more. G High Style, what's up, man?
What's going on?
What's up, Doctor?
Peace, brother Jay.
Can you hear us, Jay?
Doing good. How y'all doing?
We're good.
Yeah, can y'all hear me?
Yep, we can hear
Can you
you.
hear me? Oh, okay. Yeah, very interesting discussion, Sister E. One thing I can say is that the enemy has done a good job at programming us. Ever since
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Whoa,
oh,
he got disconnected.
why
Oh, there we go. He's back. He's back. Come on.
they know, and they are very wise. As the scripture tells us, the house divided cannot stand. And they know this, and they do everything that they've done during slavery. They're still doing today. They're dividing and
Yeah.
conquering us. How that old saying goes, I'd have made it from the outhouse to the big house.
right
And
on.
a lot of us have that mentality. It's we put that at the forefront more than putting family at the forefront. More than
Right.
defending each other, we rather just defend ourselves. And it's more like, what can I get out of this, instead of what can I do for my family? And that's how they programmed us. They programmed us to be against each other, and by being against each other, we can make it to the top as well. We got that crab mentality for
Yep.
sure.
Correct.
We got one person going up that ladder, and then the other person just steadily trying to pull them down, because again, that's the way we've been programmed. And
Mm-hmm.
they know, as long as we're doing that, as long as we're fighting against one another,
Hmm.
We'll never succeed as a family, as a nation, or anything else. We're always going to be at the bottom of that social ladder.
Right.
And that's just the way it is. That's the truth of the issue. Until we get out of that mindset, that frame, that mentality that it's all about me and not about you, we're always going to find ourselves at the bottom.
Yep.
And you know what, Jay High Style, you know what, real quick, you know we're the people of the book
Yeah.
because Jacob's name means hill grabber, right? So that means
Boom.
he struggled with that bucket of crab
Absolutely.
spirit because when his brother was coming out the womb before him, said he grabbed his heel,
Hmm.
right? So,
Hmm.
you know, we see that right in the scriptures of that bucket of crab mentality, that bucket of crab spirit,
Yeah.
because, and you know, we see it even today that we cannot help, or not help, we cannot enjoy another a brother or sister accomplishment or another group
Right.
within our community
Right.
accomplishment. We have to
Hmm.
Hmm.
find a reason. It's always a
Hmm.
group, always somebody within the community that's going to find a way to tear it down. You know, not even looking at the bigger picture, but we'll always tear it down. And so that's the spirit of Jacob. He was a hill grabber. He had that bucket of crab mentality.
He absolutely did. He absolutely did. Like I said
Yep.
again, I said we always exude that. Again, like I said, it gets depressing because when people talk about culture, knowing that we're Israelites, that's why I say a good majority of us are Israelites. We don't have that unifying culture yet among us. Again, like we said, we're Trinidadian, Jamaican, Haitian, Dominican, you know, quote unquote African American, and we all claim these different cultures instead of saying we are the children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Yep.
If we could become like that, and we just push all the other mess aside, then I think you'll see the change. But I think only Yah's gonna be able to do that.
Correct. Correct. What's interesting, I have been in my life, I've held a lot of different leadership roles. And never because I thought I was able to do it. It was just always something I was thrown into. And then just here recently I started saying, okay, maybe I should do this. But every single time I walk in the room, it's two black people. And I'm one of the ones. And guess who is the one that sometimes is gonna stab me in my back?
Hmm.
Is the other one.
Mhm.
And that's the sad part that when I see my own, I have to brace myself every single time. I have been in corporate America and have walked in the door because if you hear my real name, you don't know what I look like. I don't have a ethnic name. I have a
Mhm.
unique, I have a unique name, but you just don't
Marky
know.
Mark and the Wild Bunch.
You know what? I'm not dealing with him today. I'm not dealing with him today. But I don't have an ethnic name. So when I walk in the door, I'm full ethnic, period. You're gonna see it. I can't hide it. I'm here. The black girl is in the room now, period. But every single time that I've walked in that position, I've had to guard myself with black women. And that's
Hmm.
so sad that guess who's gonna come for me? Black women. Then the next one is the black being. But the thing is and the thing is, people think that, oh, can you find a black man in corporate America? No, because most of them don't like us. They don't
Hmm.
like us. They want the other ones. They want the Beckys. They don't want us.
Mm-mm.
My problem is the Bobs coming at me, and I'm like, not today, Doc. But I mean, that's just the world that we live in. But we're so divided that wherever we go, we never see unity. We
Well,
never
think
say, I
about it.
got your back. Don't worry about it. You out today, I got your back. I'm gonna cover you. No, if you out on vacation, you're gonna have to guard yourself because they coming for you.
And
But
think about it, sis. Everything that we've created here in this country, even our bad habits were taken. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I mean, you have the same ones that are complaining about Michael B. Jordan, but where did hip hop originate at?
yeah,
Right? We can technically say that that's our culture that we created here in this country, right?
Right.
we can easily, if we want to be divisive, say, hey, you are participating in something that's not your culture. You break dancing. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just unfortunate when you start really peeling the layers up and the kind of like the can of worms, it can open up. It's like, okay, are you going to say, well, whatever happened on the Caribbean island, that's your stuff. The slavery there, all that stuff is your stuff. But what's happening in this section in this country, this is our stuff. So technically we could say that, hey, everyone that's outside of this country should not be rapping if you're not an quote African American, in other words, from this area. If you're breakdancing, whatever the different things that was developed. But I'm just saying it just opens up so many cans of worms, when you start really thinking about that. And that's what's really disappointing about that whole thing, because I can imagine what's going through his head, because we've all experienced that.
Yep.
We've all been experiencing those very things. It's like I remember, talking to my grandmother about that. She'll tell us that we're Israel, but at the same time, we're in the church. So the culture that we learned was basically the culture that was created and given to us by the colonizers. Their warped understanding of the text. So we still have to embrace that culture, and we're told that, hey, culture doesn't matter. But then all around you, you got the Italian community over here, you got the Greeks over here, you got the Portuguese over there, you got the Jewish community over there, and then within the Black community, you got the Haitians over here, you got the Brazilians over here, you got the Panamanian, you got all these different things, and but yet you're being told that culture doesn't matter, identity doesn't matter.
Yep, you're right. And go to make sure we don't get too sidetracked off the subject of Michael B. Jordan, because I know I'm going left on it, because it's so many layers to this, that he's just one of the many victims of this. You have Africans. I'm sorry, African, for this. I'm sorry, Puerto Rican, for this. I'm sorry. And I'm looking at Michael B. Jordan. I said, he is caught up in something that all of us that we felt. Think about it. When we walk in a room, we see a Caribbean, we see a Black Colombian, we see a Black Cuban, we see a Haitian. We walk in the room, they look at us like we are bottom of the totem pole. And Jay Hastyle said something made a lot of sense. He said, we are the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
We are the least liked in the room, and we could be the most pleasant people in the room. They won't like us.
Yeah.
And that's sad. And I'm like, what is it about us that even ticks our own people off?
I mean,
and the whole thing.
I'm sorry.
The whole thing is, we got to learn to take a piece out of the, as Pastor Kelly would call it, out of their playbook. Because when you look at things and the way our counterparts operate, they don't go against each other, be it Italian or Greek or what have you. They all stick together no matter what. If they're right or wrong, they're going to stick together.
Mm-hmm.
But why is it that we can't do that? Why can't we do the same thing? And I personally believe that if we were to take on that part of the playbook and lift each other up no matter what, it's sort of like that agape love that the Most High shows us. We look beyond each other's fault and we see each other's needs and say, hey, that's priority. That we concentrate on each other's needs and stick together. I think we would be so much better off as a nation.
Correct.
But we're so dependent on our enemies to get us ahead. We're so dependent on their approval instead of looking amongst ourselves for our own approval. I mean, that's really the route that we should take.
Yep.
The Most High always wanted Israel to be together. But from the very start, the northern and southern tribes, they were always fighting against one another. Mm-hmm. Why? For dominance. And the Most High didn't want us to be that way. He wanted us to get along with each other. He wanted us to not only love him, but to love each other. And still to this very day, it's the hardest thing for Israel to comprehend.
Yeah.
How we should be loving one another. not at each other's throat, not stabbing each other in the back, but sticking together no matter what.
Yep.
We're not loving the Most High like we're supposed to.
Not even that, really. That's right.
Like I said, we don't. If we cannot love the Most High, as Yeshua said, you shall love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, thy all thy heart, thy mind, thy strength.
Yeah,
That's the first. If we can't do that, we can't do the second, which is loving our neighbors
that's right.
ourselves. We
That's
we just
right.
can't. And again, and when you've had bad doctrine for how many centuries given to us that all became part of, that bad doctrine became part of our culture, and we're still regurgitating it over and over and over. Like I say again, that's what happens. Like we tell people, that we're Israel. What's the first thing a lot of our people do? Oh, I don't want to hear all that. Mm-mm, no,
Mhm.
you want them people over there, and it's like they won't even hear. But I'm like, but if you did understand who you were, if we actually understood who we were, will we actually behave the same way? I don't think we
Mhm.
would.
We won't. We
Well,
wouldn't.
even to that point that Spike made of serving the Lord, loving the Most High with all our heart, right? Unfortunately, we're divided even on that
Correct.
because
That's
Yeah,
we'll
you're right.
talk about everything, names. I mean, insulting.
mm-hmm.
We can't even do that together. We can't even say, you know what? Even though, let's just say you may pronounce the Most High name this way,
Right.
even though we're still in the same text, I may say Yahweh Shai, you may say Yahushua, still sound almost the same, but we'll disconnect over that. Uh, why you having why you singing, why you worshiping, why can't you just be quiet, why you got to have music, why you have to
Mm-hmm.
have this, you have all of that even in the church. That's why you have the holiness church used to fight against the Pentecostal church.
Yeah,
You
sure
know what
did.
I mean? Growing up in Jersey, I mean, you had the Baptist church against the Presbyterian church.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's always something that would segregate us no matter what. Even
Yeah.
worshiping the Father, we'll have someone to say why you say his name that way, or why you have to worship that way, or
Mm-hmm.
why where's this at? Where's that at? You're so busy watching what the other person is doing instead of just saying, you know what, let's come to an agreement to say, at least we're all striving to do what the Father called all of us to do. We
Right.
may have some hiccups on our understanding of the word, but guess what? We're striving though to do the same thing. We strive, all want the same thing, and
Correct.
that's the please the Father and also respect one another. But we can't
Mm-hmm.
even get
Hmm.
to that point.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like I said, it's gonna take Yah to do this because it's again, the way I look, my picture when it comes to culture and what that looks like. It's like we're a bunch of organic molecules trying to come together in a vat of acid.
Oh, yes.
Okay, go ahead, Aerospike. Okay, go ahead. You got me doing Martin Lawrence and Eddie Murphy when Martin Lawrence when he was playing pool, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like, oh yeah, okay, all right, that okay, okay, I got you on that.
I mean, that's just how I picture it. It's like I said, imagine trying to basically take a bunch of organic molecules, throw them in a vat of hydrochloric acid. What's going to happen? They're going to break apart. That's all that's going to happen to them, and that's like what we're doing right now. So we're trying to come together. It's like trying to bring that molecular bond back together. But again, you're in a vat of acid. It's not going to allow you
Hmm.
to the very nature, the atmosphere that we're in, or the, what I say, the river of acid that we're in, is simply not going to allow for that. That's why it's going to take somebody outside of that vat, yeah, to take the molecules and put them together and make the body.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Well, I tell you, it's you know, like you said, it's going to definitely take a movement of the Most High, which we are seeing that He is moving, but it's
Yeah.
going to get worse before it gets better. We already know that that's that's part of the prophecy, but it's just unfortunate when you see situations like this continue to occur, continues to take place. We can, 1 minute we're talking, we'll fight against what other people are doing to us. We'll call that out, but we won't call out the the friendly fire, so to speak. We're constantly getting caught up in friendly fire, taking each other out,
Yep.
for whatever reason, and it really stems from when you start thinking about meritorious manumission. Some of
Mm,
that spirit that reward that was really put there. To say, hey, you know what, uh, take care of your family and help us expose anyone that's trying to buck the system, so to speak, and we'll kill all of them, but we'll make sure that your family is taken care of. And we
mhm.
still see that playing out right now.
Right. It's like at the end of the movie. You seen the movie Panthers when that came
Yeah.
out? Yeah, just like they said. What did he tell Judd? It's like he told him to get out of here. It's too late. You can't save nobody. Basically said, go save yourself. While the west of Oakland pretty much burned up under the heroin flood that was coming. It's like that's exactly what that's that mentality that's constantly pushed. You do you, and I do me. We got no problems.
I'm laughing. You guys see Elder Cantu player. She put in here, why can't y'all just get them and beat the brakes off of them? I feel you, Cam.
Oh, I felt that deep in my soul. Yes.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I just saw that in the comment section. She like, why can't y'all just get them and beat the brakes off? The judgment is going to come.
Yeah.
But my apologies. I just thought I'd share that.
Look at Australia. Yeah, like it's like my brother Big Red said, it's like judgment to me. It's like we got spiders that covered that entire area. We got mice that are covering that area. Drought, flood. I'm like, man, that kind of sounds like what happened in Kemet long time ago. That sounds real familiar. Gee.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what do you guys further, think about, even with going back to like Sissy pointed out with the topic, what are some of the other examples that we see before us that's similar to what we see with the Michael B. Jordan? What's some of the other examples that's similar to that we're facing, that's similar to what he had to deal with?
Repeat your question. Right now I'm I'm multitasking.
Yes, I see, Sister. I see you. I see. No, but I was just kind of asking other similar examples of, that we can, that's similar to the Michael B. Jordan within the community.
Oh, we see that all the time. We see that have y'all noticed this? And we've all said this before. It's not just with the Michael B. Jordans, but it's something about the Caribbean people that or non-American Africans that don't get the respect. A lot of our movies that are depicting our people are Caribbean or either African.
That's right. Or from Britain.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I want to say we even say that's cultural appropriation. If you want to look at it from that stance, let's just be honest. It shouldn't be anybody that's not an American playing a movie. Harriet Tubman should not be played by an English woman, a British Black woman.
Right.
Nobody should be. Let's go ahead and knock it out. Because think about it, all these scripts is going to them. It's going to non-ADOS, and I'm just gonna say it like that: non-ADOS people that are getting these roles. So if you're not ADOS, African descendants of slaves on this soil, you don't need to get any movie. So that's cultural appropriation.
Is that attention deficit?
I have that too.
No, I'm just picking with you. I'm just picking with the acronyms. That's all.
Hey, Rugamau, welcome.
What's up, cuz?
Hi. Hello, everybody.
How you doing,
Can everybody hear me?
Peace and blessings.
Hi. Hello, Salama, CMA.
Hello, welcome. So I know you've been kind of keeping up what we're talking about, Michael B. Jordan. I think I talked to you about this already.
Well, you talked with me earlier today, but I was on the prayer line, so I missed quite a bit of your of the
what we're
content tonight.
You remember me? I think I talked to you about what's going on with Michael B. Jordan and how he is being told to change the name of his rum because his rum was connected to Caribbean culture when it came to the emancipation their emancipation. So ultimately, what they're telling me, a Caribbean community have literally, I forgot to add this, they signed petitions to get the name of the rum changed.
Over 10,000 signed a petition.
Petition. We can't get y'all to sign a petition to keep people from getting electrocuted. They look like us, but you arguing about the fact of rum and that's your culture.
Wow, wasn't it just a boat ride though? I mean, just a drop off point, basically.
Yeah, they turn left.
Yep.
3-hour tour.
Wait, you said they turned left.
They turned left. He said, we said they pulling up. Say, we pulling up before you going left. All right.
But it is just a drop off. It was just a drop. But like I said, that's what we see. You said give an example, Pastor Kelly. That's one of them. Wow. Every time it is just a drop off. It was just a drop off. But like I said, that's what we see. You said give an example, Pastor Kelly. That's one of them. Hold on. Where's my TV playing in the background? But like I said, that's okay. I had to mute Ruhma. This is hilarious. Oh, wait a minute. Jay has to. It's something going on today, Saints. Ruhma trying to fix up Mike. She got back noise with me. But I mean, end of the day, I mean, look at it. We got, like I said, these movies, cultural appropriation. Don't play Harriet Tubman. Don't play leaders. Period. So, but that's what I see. I'm multitasking too. So, anybody else want to answer Pastor Kelly's question?
What was the question again?
All these IT people up here with ADHD.
We sure do have that. Like squirrel. Okay. What? No. Pascal, you muted, sir.
You're muted. You're muted. I was muted too. So,
Pastor Kelly, you muted.
I was saying, I thought what's the question was, why did Susie sell seashells at the seashore? Was that the question?
Because they was cheap, I guess. Huh?
This is what happens when we grow into adults and we don't take medication for our ADHD.
Nope. See, I'm getting a server. Yay. Anyway, when I think about colorism, I remember the big issue they had with, I think, what's her name, Saldana. They want her to play Nina Simone.
Let's not even talk about that. I was so mad about that. I was like, "Are you serious?"
They were going to do a nose over. What is it? Do a nose over?
Yeah,
Tanner and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, she played, and it was like, wait a minute, let me get this straight. Okay, you have a very light, bright, darn near white, actor playing a sister, who was darker. I'm like, you're trying to tell me there were absolutely no darker skinned actresses to play that role? Why? That makes no sense whatsoever. But I say again, it shows how Hollywood, promotes the colorism. It's like you don't have one day they'll, 100 years from now they'll say Nina Simone looked like Madonna. If they, at what they're doing right now. So I mean, it makes no sense until you realize again we're in a vat of acid.
Yeah, they're gonna have Justin Timberlake do the "Coming to America" remix.
Exactly. Hello, Baba.
Well, what about Colin Kaepernick? The whole incident that happened with him taking a knee during the Pledge of Allegiance.
Mm-hmm.
It was like nobody within his community. I'm talking about the professional football players, especially that are of our descent. They didn't even stick up for him. They kind of just let him go out on his own and protest all on his own. When, again, like I said, we should have been there for him. And when I say we, I mean those that were in his community, those other professional athletes that were also there at the time should have been sticking up for him. But guess what outweighed that? we should all know what outweighed that, right? It was
Yep.
that check,
Oh
that contract. That's what outweighed that.
man.
And it's just a shame that it's that way. And our enemy know that we need to survive. So they'll stick that out in front of us. They'll use that as leverage. The money that we get, or they pay us, or what have you. And they're right. A lot of them, look what they did. They didn't even support Kaepernick. Instead, they just turned their head the other way and said, "Oh, okay, Kaepernick's on his own because I still need my paycheck." And that's that. And it's a shame that it's that way. We should really be, no matter what, we should be sticking up for one another.
Well, unfortunately, that's like history repeating itself, because when we look
Hmm.
at I'm not Martin Luther King, but Muhammad Ali, he went through the exact same thing. He took his stand, and for 5 years, the height of his career, our people continue to watch boxing. He was broke. I mean, he really didn't have no income coming in. He was blacklisted. He couldn't go elsewhere
Yeah.
to fight
Right.
outside the country. So no one really stood the gap for him for 5 years. And again, our people were still playing. Watching boxing. And just like when we look at the NFL, people still continue to watch the NFL, watch the games. I haven't watched the NFL games since that whole time, whole situation. But
Hmm.
we just really don't truly take a stand like we should take a stand. I mean, even think about the subject tonight. uh the festival that they are complaining about is a festival that started with Caucasians, the slave masters,
Yep.
enslaving us, having a festival back in the 18th century, mocking our people. And then once we got free, we took that same festival and started mocking them in return. And that's what that's what
Mhm.
uh, Nicki Minaj and 10,000 other people, that's the culture that they are trying to protect.
Yeah. Yeah. Thought about that. We always tend to imitate Massa. We tend to imitate him. Say, Massa had a big house. We need to get a big house too. Massa rich. We gotta get rich no matter what we need to do because we want to be just like them. Why? Because they're equated with power. And when people feel powerless, you're gonna glom onto that which looks like power to you. And this is what we see now. And the culture develops from that.
Yeah, yeah. It's just
And
unfortunate. Like I said, when Sister Ian and I talked about it yesterday, it was like when I saw that, it's like, wow, you know, it's just the same cycle. Where the people of the book, because even within, we just constantly, like Jay Highstyle pointed out, we keep impeding ourselves. We keep getting in the way of ourselves. No matter what we do, we continuously stop progress, all because of whatever agendas or whatever things that we have bubbling on the inside. Jealousy. We want to make a name for ourselves instead of looking at the bigger picture. But we'll do whatever we can to hurt, uh, deceive, humiliate, all those different things with among our own people, for greed and self, our own ulterior motives that contradict the overall goal that we should have for the people through the Most High.
yeah, and the whole thing is, we wonder what happened to black places like Black Wall Street. Really, we can make another Black Wall Street. As a matter of fact, we can make several different Black Streets if we just get over ourselves, and just start supporting one another. Uh, I remember back a little while ago, I heard a man, what's his name, Dr. Claude Anderson, I believe it is,
Yeah.
and he
Yeah.
spoke on that very issue, on how we would be much better off as a people if we just started supporting each other's trade. It's like one hand washing the other. And after a while, we'll see that we're a thriving community. But we first got to learn how to look to each other and depend and lean on each other more than anything. That's where it starts at. And if we're not depending on one another, not looking towards one another, then guess what? We're going to stay divided, and we're going to continue to remain at the bottom of the social ladder. We got to learn to how to start looking towards one another and uplifting one another, right? Start supporting each other's trade. Well, you know how to build houses? Well, I'm going to use you instead of going to my counterpart, right? I'm going to use you instead. And guess what? You know somebody that knows how to do plumbing? Well, bring them along, and of course within our community. And that's how we begin to thrive as a community, as a nation.
Yeah.
But as long as we continue to be, like Pastor Kelly said, as long as we continue to be dependent on our counterparts, we'll never get ahead. We'll never thrive as a nation. And this is one thing the Most High was looking to drill into our heads over and over again, that we need to stick together as a people, right? We don't need the other nations. He pointed that out to us clearly. We don't need the heathen nations. As long as we stay within our own community and with him on our side, we can do this. But it's the hardest thing to get that up here into our heads. It's the hardest thing.
I think something. There's a group that I'm in, a business group that like it talks about a lot. Just supporting one another and so forth. And so when I really think deeply about it, say what is it? Because you see people saying, I went to this black owned place and the service was terrible. Forget it. I'm not gonna bother with them no more. I'm just gonna go to the other man. And so it's like the issue is for us. I think is the issue of trust, that we don't trust one another, because trust involves becoming vulnerable to each other, and we're taught not to be vulnerable. It's like, no, somebody's gonna try to get over on me, so I got to keep this wall up the whole time, because if not, I'm gonna get got, and I can't deal with that. So the issue is, if we can start building that trust with one another and say, like, okay, am I willing to be vulnerable? Or say the service is not exactly like we got at the other man place, but yet but you see the person actually trying. You see the person trying to provide that excellent customer service that we're looking for. You see that. So yeah, they're gonna make mistakes, but still come back. It's like, okay, I can still get, if they make restitution, or they say like, hey, I'm sorry about that. I can get this for you, so forth, and still be able to work with that person. It's like, okay, this is not exactly what I'm used to, but continue to do that. If we can build that trust among one another, then exactly what you were talking about, what Dr. Claude Anderson talked about, that can happen. But I say again, it's being vulnerable to each other. That is the most difficult part. Because again, let's be honest, a lot of us are scared of one another because of what we have been taught. We've been taught to say, no, I'm going to get away. You can stay on this plantation if you want to, but I'm out of here. I'm looking out for number one. I'm gone. That has gone on through the decades. We've had that same mentality. And, because we think about beforehand, before you know, I'll call it the false desegregation. Before that, we were living in those close communities. We only had each other, so we had to have that trust. Once so-called, anything got desegregated, we scattered apart. And again, the vat of acid. And so basically, we're swimming against the current, trying to come back. And swimming against the current means learning to trust each other again, and go like, okay, I'm willing to put it on the line for my brother, for my sister. The question is like, how many people are willing to do it?
Well, you made some great points, and it's unfortunate. I remember uh, growing up, even though now they call them bodegas, but we used to just call them corner stores. Where I grew up, and you had some of those corner stores that was owned by our people, but then you
Hmm.
start seeing a gradual turnover of going from our people to Spanish, right? And I remember it was still one left. Um, and like the stuff was higher, but I was only like maybe like 12, 13 years old. And, I asked the question. I just asked the question, his name was, I never forget, Box. I said, Box, why is your stuff so high? It's cheaper at the store down the street, and I'm referring to the Puerto Rican stores, the Spanish stores.
Mm-hmm.
And he explained to me the business all in, within 3 minutes. He said, well, he said, uh, they have their own distribution,
Mm.
right? And so their
Mm-hmm.
distribution, he has to buy from their distributors. So they may charge him, let's just say for a gallon of milk, he may a bodega may pay, let's just say uh $2, even though we know milk is a lot higher now, but $2 for that gallon of milk, right? And then he can add 50 to 80 or to $1 more to make a profit.
Right.
Well, that brother man, they selling him that same gallon of milk for $2.60 and 70 cents, and he's trying to turn a profit off of being overcharged in comparison to the other stores that are able to, um, charge much lower. And that's right. Well, we call it, I see Charles West, we call them the mom and pop stores. So that's part of the issue there. Then the other side of it is we as a people have a problem with respecting business owners that look like us. I've been there where as though having our own people asking me, can you hook me up? But if I was, because having my own consulting business as far as doing technology, I wrote and created my own portal. But companies from far as churches trying to make affordable high end technologies available to them, they always ask me, hook me up, instead of giving me the same respect that they would give a
Right.
business that was ran by a Caucasian. They will want me to hook them up. And it got to the point I just got finished. I got so frustrated and just decided not to do that anymore, dealing with that, because, you know, got taken advantage of a number of times. And I just
Mm.
said, forget it,
Yep.
because we began to look at the point of, you're my people, hook me up, give me a discount. And here it is. This is, I mean, I done developed and implemented, I'm talking about in enterprise level quality infrastructures, and but yet they wanted me to hook them up.
Yeah. And that's sad. We do that. Be like, come on, bro, man, come on. You know how it is, man. Trying to come hold down for the people, man. Come on, give me a little bit off the top. It's like that's not how business works. I have to. I have bills to pay. So again, I understand mercy and grace for people who can't afford it. I understand that, but business is. I have a cost. I have to put that cost on you in order to keep this thing running. And a lot of people don't understand that. It's like we say, ain't nobody trying to get over, man. This is the cost of business. Well, I get and say, I'll go down to the street then. I'm like, in other words, you run it back to massa. Okay, got you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He still is. Oh, sister, he must be tied up.
Yeah.
I'm
But
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm doing two things at one time.
I was going to ask something to say. She been
Testing the switch.
Oh my gosh.
IT never done.
All right. My life. It's a 24-hour job.
Hmm.
I love the conversation. I'm sorry, y'all. I have been on something for about 10 minutes. So and y'all know I normally don't do this, but yeah. The plantation is calling.
Do what you got to do. We keep him like I said. Ruhama, J High Style, and Pastor Kelly. They keeping it down. It's good.
well, family. I would definitely say this is a great discussion, and I think that we need to have more like this. But even not just having a discussion, but what is the solution? Where do we go at from here? Because uh, we're doing a lot of talking as a people,
Hmm.
but and we even giving solutions in some cases, but we're not. Many are not doing anything to implement the solutions. You know, the answer is right in front of us. We all know that we could just easily say, hey, you know what? Let's come together.
Yep.
Okay, well, what's the plan? You know, and unfortunately, again, going back to what we pointed out earlier, is like Jay Highstyle pointed out, is that bucket of crabs mentality. You know, so many people want to lead, but don't even understand the quality of following. You know, really understand things from that perspective. Many want to lead and be the face of whatever, but don't want to deal with the sacrifices that it really entails.
Hmm.
You know, you know, I remember, you know, just some of the things that uh, we started out with the business that I started with the technology company. Not many people want to help get it started, but they want the benefits as if they were there at the startup of it.
Hmm.
You know, and many don't want to be part of that groundbreaking, the tilling of the ground, but they want to be the ones that come and water. You know what I mean? It's easy to
Right.
water the lawn, but it's the one that actually planting those seeds, because you don't just go out and just throw seeds on the ground. You have to till that ground. You have to prep that ground to be able to even receive the seeds. You know, and then just going out there with the water hose. That's the easy part of it. You know, so again, you know, we got a lot of work to do, and we just have to have people that are willing to sacrifice and want to really do the work.
Yeah.
Understanding it's all about the Father. It's not about building empires, because most people that are not most, I'll say many. I use that term. Many within our community, they think they are kingdom minded when actually they are empire driven.
Mm.
There's a difference between being kingdom minded versus empire driven, because when you're empire driven, it's all about one individual, and that's yourself. When you're kingdom minded, you're all about the people through the Most High. And so we see that happening right now, that many people are kingdom minded. So when you think about kingdom, not kingdom minded, empire driven, empires are driven to do what? Conquer others
Correct.
at any cost, to build up what? Continue to build up that empire. Unfortunately, many don't understand empires have expiration dates. Many of it
Amen.
doesn't.
Yep. Just ask, Rome, the Ottomans, the Greeks, the Assyrians, the Egyptians. Yeah, ask them about that.
The Bulls.
Yeah, them too.
The Bears.
But like I said, I was just, I'm thinking about, what you were saying just now. Um, like I said, obviously this is YouTube, so we don't want to put everything we know, out here. But like I said, what we're looking at right now, a lot of us work in IT. I remember when I first heard you, Pastor Kelly, you started breaking some IT concepts down. It was like, wow, what if we had an entire ministry devoted to teaching people these skills? So it's like, again, so they can not only, if they want to be employed someplace else, that's fine, but they learn the basic skills. Like, because right now, coders, people are looking at that. Python is huge. It's like, how many of us are, Python programmers? Can we teach somebody else so they can learn to develop apps so that they can, start, either, start their own business and connect with somebody else? How many people do networking? How many people want to do, home networks? How many people want to do that? Learn those skill sets and get us to say, like, hey, I say, yeah, I know about this. Let me see if I can teach this other person as if they're willing to learn. I mean, let's be honest. Some people be like, I don't want nothing about no computers. All I know is I get on there, I go to Amazon, order my stuff. That's it. That's what I care about. But you have people out there like, man, I'm tired of grinding 24/7 for nothing. So, but if you knew how to, again, you see all these free code this, free code, all that's there. What if we had our own?
Well, you know, to that point, believe it or not, I actually did that, what you're pointing out. I
Mm-hmm.
started a business called J Porter Technology, right? I got to put my site back up. I'm working on my server over here, right? I'm doing some things that I'm building. I'm building a media service so I can set up
Nice.
a an internal hosting as far as videos for
Mm-hmm.
our community. So I got a couple of servers right over here. But I did that, and it was frustrating because going back to that same point, many of our people look at us as, instead of looking at taking the same approach. Let's just say if they were going to a trade school,
Mm-hmm.
they look at us at the front of it and say, "Hey, hook me up," right?
Yeah.
Uh, I've offered. I gave A plus preparation for A plus
Hmm.
certification
Okay.
for entry level, security plus,
Right.
network plus, VMware training. Uh, Microsoft far as dealing with their OS from the desktop side as well as the server side. I
Mm-hmm.
offered
That's
what you
good
call
stuff.
it, programming from C sharp to .NET. You already know the lingo.
Yep.
And what's so sad is I even put it paid for their initial try to take the test.
Wow.
And the sad thing about it is the results. The results were they were not taking it serious. I mean, I would get up. It was twice a week. Wednesdays and Saturdays, providing these free trainings, and
Mm-hmm.
all they had to do was just invest their time.
Right.
And unfortunately, that was the same thing that you pointed out. It's like, look, I have my business. You don't have to worry about the experience because guess what? You could chalk up your experience to my company. And
Mm-hmm.
we'll send you out. You go from, let's just say, not making much to making easily right off the bat with an A plus certification. You're making $45,000, 50,000,
Yep.
and you're gaining your experience through my company internally. So I had hands-on tools that I created from scratch. But after a while, it just got tiresome because it's like, wow, that you start hearing the same old excuses from within, and you just start getting frustrated. It's like, you know what? Before I strike the rock, it's like, you know what? It's becoming counterproductive because I'm doing ministry, full-time ministry on one side, but then I have my business over here, and then I still have clients I have to attend to, and
Mm-hmm.
it just got to the point that it was very burdensome. But unfortunately, again, many of us don't. When it comes to our own people, our approach is different.
Hmm. Yeah, that is unfortunate. Very
Yeah,
unfortunate.
it's like we're good at serving our counterparts, but we're not good at serving each other. It's amazing. And look at the resources that we even have back in our own homeland, in Africa. We got tremendous amount of resources. But even then, we see that the people that are in control over there as well, they're busy depending on their colonizers instead of each other. We're doing the same thing over there as well. It just amazes me. We got the resources, we got the people. We know that we're one family. We've just been dispersed throughout the world. But yet we just can't seem to figure it out and get it together. Find out a solution, so that we are thriving as a nation and no longer dependent on our enemies. That's one thing. It's the hardest thing for us to do, and to even find a solution for, Pastor Kelly. Where the question is, like you're saying, where do we start? Because there's so many missing and moving pieces to the puzzle that it's hard for us to even start. When we're against each other, when we're thinking about me and nobody else, and different things of that nature. It just makes our move towards being a nation that much harder.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially with Africa,
So
with
that's
all
a
the
good question.
resources that are there. I'm sorry. Go
Yeah,
ahead. I'm
that's like
sorry.
the $1 million question right there. Where do we start? What's the solution? And that's something that we really have to ponder on, and not only ponder on it, but act on it. and hopefully bring about a resolution to this whole matter. I know ultimately it's the Most High that's going to save us, that's going to gather us together. But meanwhile, we should be doing something for ourselves and not just being complacent and saying, hey, here I am. I'm at the bottom of the social ladder. And, that's just the way it is. We got to overcome that. And, we got Christ on our side. He says that we're more than conquerors even, He says he's already overcome the world. And by him being in us, guess what? We too should be able to overcome the world, but we're just stagnant and not moving as a nation, and it just baffles me.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, the way said again, what you talked about said I've been talked about for like 10 years. Like, okay, because again, we all know the problem. What's the solution? But first of all, again, like I said, again, like you said, that said Yah himself is going to, what he's done for us. For those who have believed, he's redeemed us. So I'm like, so spiritually, that's what we have to start first. And that's why I think with the awakening coming, I think we're actually seeing some of that come in. It's like, okay, we're starting to have a culture based upon the spirit and not the flesh. Because a lot of the brothers that I used to hang around with, listen to, they would talk about, man, say, let's go back to Africa. We're gonna do this, but it was in the energy of the flesh. Because a lot of them, they were some more atheistic, some try to do, African traditional religion and so forth. And it wasn't going to work out. It was just, it was pipe dreams. So that's why I left. I'm like, this is never going to get off the ground, ever. It's not going to happen. So us being Israelites, I keep thinking about it this way. A lot of us are still stiff-necked, the adults. But let's think about what Yah did when he brought us out of Egypt. And the unbelieving adults, what happened? They dropped off. But the children went into the promised land. So maybe we have to start thinking about that. It's like training, children with what we were talking about earlier and having them learn. Because if they have a heart to learn, if they haven't been, completely jaded by the world yet, there's a chance. But for adults, it's a toss-up. That's just my thoughts.
I'm sorry, I'm on mute. I have totally enjoyed this conversation. I have to wrap it up, but PlayStation's calling. I gotta go. Yep. But I want to tell everybody, thank you so much. We gotta learn how, as a people, stick together and learn how to communicate amongst each other. If it be with your Caribbean and Trinidadian and your Ghanaian and so many, we come in so many different, not just colors, but not necessarily cultures, because our culture is pretty much the same. Mm-hmm. But we come in so many different just backgrounds that we have to realize that we're one nation. We're not 12 different nations, but one nation. We've become a divided nation of two when it was a southern and a northern kingdom. Now we got so many different kingdoms that's divided. It's like, wow. But that's a part of the scattering. We understand that's a part of the scattering. It's not just a scattering us physically, but a scattering of us culturally, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, everything is scattered. So it's going to be Yah that brings us back together. But while we're doing that, we still have to work collectively together. That's right. And come together as a people. Because again, I can only imagine, and we got to realize that actors, even though y'all don't too much care for them, you're still human. How that feels when you're doing something when you're doing something that you consider to be good, and you got your own people attacking you and putting a petition out on you, it has to be motivating. And let's call it what it is. So before we close, any last words? Let's start with Ruhama.
Oh, okay. Sorry about all the trouble with the devices early in your family. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
But I know we hear, I didn't hear all of it, but from what I gather, because of the division between us, I'm of this, I'm this location, and so I'm a totally different segment from what you are. I think, with all that we see, that I believe our option and our privilege is to seek the Most High at this time, because it's just like our back is really against the wall. I mean, we're economically depressed and all different things are going on. Doors, I mean, I know that as a nation, we're going through some things. Individually, we could be blessed individually, as we're following and obeying the Most High. But collectively, as a nation, we've got to come together. And I see that as some kind of miracle from the Most High. Nothing short of a miracle. But I believe that it's doable in his eye, because anything that's impossible in our eyes is totally possible with him.
Correct.
So I'm looking for that miracle, and I'm believing him, and I believe I'm going to put into practice personally to speak over, the situations, and speak life, and speak healing for our nation and the coming together, because I see what I see, and we all see it. But what we don't have to say what we see, but we can say what we believe the Most High to do, and what he can do, and speak his word over us, because he's saying that he's going to do this and that for us. And we're saying that the 400 years is up, or we can declare some things. It's not a witchcrafty thing. It's like we are believing him. We're saying we're believing his word. We're believing what he said. And that's just my take on it.
You're on mute, sis.
I said, thanks again, Ruhama, for what I'm messing with you. I was joking with her about her name, but yeah. Ruhama, thank you for those words of wisdom. What about you, Jay Hostyle? What's up? Give us some closing words from you.
Yeah, and I sometimes we can get so caught up into situations, especially when it's right here in the here and now. And I'm continuing to ponder on Pastor Kelly's question of where do we start? Well, the Most High has already given us instructions on where to start. He said, if my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves, turn from their wicked ways, seek my face. He says, what? I will forgive them of their sins, and what? Heal their land. So, family, if we want our land to be healed, we first got to turn to the Most High God. We got to honestly and earnestly seek him out. Be no longer conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of our minds. That's where it starts at. Like Ruhama said, it's going to take a miracle. Yeah, it's going to take divine intervention for us to come together and reform as a nation. And the only one that can do that is the Most High God. He's the only one.
Amen.
I'm on mute again. Thank you, Jay Hostyle. I enjoyed having you up here. Mr. Aerospike, any closing words, sir?
Yes, actually, I said I thoroughly enjoyed, the convo. Say again, we gotta keep this conversation going, and everybody's perspective and the points of view and everything the points brought up. Yeah. Said Brother Jay Hostile again. I love speaking with you in the chat. Like I said, I hope I didn't confuse you too much of who I was. I was like, no, I am not Kemetic, but I know something about their history. Ruhama, always love, hearing from you, my big sis, and you as well, Sister E. And said, Pastor Kelly, I would love to chop it up with you sometime. They say, well, you be bringing fire, and I'm like, I definitely definitely want to be in contact with you sometime. We're already friends on Facebook, so like I said, I will be IMing you soon enough.
Absolutely. Feel free to do that because I definitely will respond to you, and we could talk offline as well. That'll be
Sounds
great.
sounds awesome. Thanks a lot.
All right, thanks all. Now, Mr. We woke Pat slash Pastor Kelly slash
Get it right. Get it right. Right.
rap a lot, rap a lot.
Multitask. You struggling with multitasking.
I do. No, I don't. I'm multitasking now, so and I'm doing a good job.
I can see what you're doing through the glasses.
Oh, you can? Oh, Jesus. What you need to see? Don't get you ain't community nothing. No, I'm just joking.
No,
Uh,
I'm just messing with you. But I want to say great discussion, and I want to say to everyone that you know, some bad things and some serious things that are happening. Just do like what I do. Just look at those situations and just say "Akuna Matata." No, I'm just joking with you guys. I'm just adding a little humor. But nah, seriously, just the thing that I always say whenever I close out teachings and so forth. Exodus chapter 14, verse 13 and 14. The Most High instructed Moses to encourage Israel because they were at an impasse. They were at what seemed to be a dead end. And they had the Egyptians, which can easily represent their past, coming up from behind. And they know that they can't go back in their past because their past would kill them. They knew that they couldn't become stagnant because their past would catch up with them, and they'll still what the past would kill them. So they had to have faith. They had to believe that the Most High did not lead them to this point to leave them hanging, to allow them to be slaughtered by their past. So with that being said, he told Moses to tell the people, "Fear ye not, stand still, and see the salvation of Yahweh." These Egyptians that you see today, these strongholds, these Sambalots, all these different things, the situation at your job, the whatever things you may be struggling with in your personal lives, that it will not have power over you ever again. The Most High will fight for you, but we have to hold our peace. In other words, learn how to be silent and let him move. Can't go back, can't stay here, keep moving forward. Shalom.
Shalom, 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 salama. I think I'm saying it right. Everyone, thank you all so much for your support. Um, and I enjoyed this conversation again. Like I said earlier, it's key for us to be a people is just the ones that can just because everybody's not going to do it. We know that the Most High is going to be the one that ultimately brings us all together, but it does not mean that we need to walk around broken. We are considered to be his lights. We're the ones that are supposed to direct people to Christ. We're supposed to be teaching people how to love one another. And if we can't love each other, how are we going to teach nations to love? And that's key. I tell people, I said, sometimes we got to take care of business at home first so that we can help others in the world outside of our community. But they would rather for us to be broken and go help them. No, I'm at a point where I'm like, stop. We got to fix each other. Before we can fix anybody else and be anything, we got to stand and look at ourselves and say, what are we doing as a community? So we got to learn how to love each other so that we can teach other nations how to love. So with that being said, some people ain't going to agree with what I'm saying. So be it. Everybody got a right to their opinion. But like I said, y'all, let's continue love. Let's continue being a light. Let us continue walking the ways of Mashiach. Because what did Mashiach say before he went to the other nations and offered them the gospel? He said, I come unto the lost sheep of Israel. He understood, I got to take care of this house first and try to get this some order here. And ultimately, we still fail because of our fall. The Gentiles had access, but understand that he never said he's leaving Israel out of the factor. He's bringing Israel back into the fold, as in prophecy. That's called the dry bones coming together. And a part of the dry bones coming together, it starts with some of us. We got to be the light so that we can help others come together. And again, the ultimate gathering will be Hamashiach. So with all that being said, family, thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for subscribing. If you've not subscribed to my channel, please do share this link with someone. Tell someone about this channel. We'll be doing more stuff. But thank you all so much for your support, family. Thank you so much on the panel for getting up here. Some were already told. Some were brought in last minute, like Mr. J High Style. He was ready. But thank you all so much for your support. And let's just continually be the light that Amashiach told us to be. All right. Good night, family. Love you.